Welcome back to the Talking Hedge, your cannabis business podcast. I'm Josh Kincaid. Purchasing a cannabis-related property, here's 3 things to consider or not to overlook. The first thing to consider is title. A previous owner of a property may have registered restrictive covenants or easements on the title to a property. One example is the restrictive covenants might be one in which it prohibits the production or manufacture of cannabis. An example of an easement may be one in which would prohibit a purchaser from expanding the building on the property, or in which case a vacant land or by knocking down the previous building may greatly restrict what one is able to build. Always look at the title to the property to determine whether there's any such restrictive covenants registered, and tailor this search to consider cannabis-specific requirements. Like in any real estate transaction, the purchaser's solicitor should always make sure that the marketable title to the property is conveyed to the purchaser free and clear of any encumbrances. This will allow a purchaser the freedom to conduct their cannabis-related business activities at or on the property without interference of additional restrictions beyond any laws and regulations. Number 2 is zoning. In considering the location and permitted use at a property, a purchaser needs to ensure that they will be able to use the property in the way in which it's intended prior to entering an agreement. A purchaser's solicitor must determine whether the zoning of the prospective property allows for the purchaser's intended use, or if there are any municipal bylaws that would prohibit the purchaser's intended use. For example, if a purchaser is looking to purchase a property and to use a production facility, the property will need to be zoned accordingly. It'd be very unfortunate if a purchaser found a perfect space for production facility and found a zone for use that precludes that purchaser from using the space to produce cannabis. Another example is in the retail context, where considerations of municipal requirements is at the forefront of licensing process. Each province has set its own buffer requirements for the location of a store, ensuring that municipalities have not prohibited the presence of cannabis retail. Ensuring proper distances are well maintained from schools, places of worship, etc., is of the utmost importance. And the last thing a purchaser should want to do is spend more money or time, possibly multiple layers of fighting a municipality in order to get the property rezoned after spending potentially millions of dollars purchasing a property. And finally, financing. A purchaser, of course, will need to come up with funds to pay for any property. In most real estate transactions, a purchaser receives financing to help pay for the purchase of the property. Typically, purchasers will look to the banks and or private lenders for financing. Traditionally, banks and top-tier private lenders were hesitant to involve themselves within the cannabis industry. While times are certainly changing and both banks and private lenders have started to enter the world of cannabis debt financing, involvement in or use of a property for the purpose of involvement in the cannabis industry will often be a hurdle for purchasers compared to a move for a more typical industry or commercial purpose. As a result, as soon as a prospective purchaser decides to move forward, the best course of action is for that purchaser to start working on obtaining financing right away, so as to not hold up the purchase and obtain a favorable rate. And with that, we're going to roll this one up. If you want to like and subscribe and share, please do. If not, I'm out.